Recording started.
Recording started. Here we go. I mean, like we said, we never know when it's going to happen, but oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be here and it's wonderful to see your face.
Yours too. Thank you so much. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Although this is dropping on a Thursday, we record it the day before. So to you, Colleen, happy Wednesday. To our listeners, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to our listeners. Great call.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to get going because we're trying to make these pre-recorded shows quick so they're easy to listen to. You can listen to it in the car when you run to the grocery store, whatever it might be. So welcome to the pre-recorded We Built a Bridge show hosted by myself, Christine Passo, and the ever so wonderful Dr. Colleen Saringer. These shows blossomed from you, our listeners, as a way to offer the opportunity to have you engage and interact with us. These brief recordings invite you to think about how you want to participate in the conversation during our next live show. Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments so we can discuss them with you during the upcoming live show, which will be next Thursday, April 4th. We Built a Bridge was founded with the core interest of creating a funnel of conversation that many hesitate to engage in. I'm a life coach for women, and Colleen is a fractional chief culture and well-being officer to small businesses. United, we offer different perspectives on communication, culture, and life fulfillment to guide you towards a life with integrity and curiosity. Bam. There we go, Colleen.
Done. Nicely done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we start by just recapping what we talked about last Thursday. So that was episode 10, our big, celebration episode. But then we got into living life like it's your last day in grief.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to give a little bit of background there, the way that Christine, the way that you had talked about this was you had shared that you had found out that you lost a friend from your past life. I had shared that I had lost a friend from my past life.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that conversation, that saying, that reminder, which came from my husband, he had said to me, when someone that we know that is young, when we find out that they die, that's a reminder to live your life like it's your last day. Live your best life. I also brought in the saying that my uncle, who died at the same age that this friend of mine had died, which was 49, my uncle used to always say, there's no dress rehearsals in life, which is also ultimately taking you to that similar mindset of live every day like it's your last, or just, seize the moment, if you will. So with that, the question that we want to discuss, and then again, open it up for our listeners to comment. So for those of you that are listening, open it up for you to comment so that we can then in turn discuss it next Thursday. The question that I'm going to pose to you, Christine, to answer first: when you're in the throes of grief, do you find yourself questioning your own mortality in the form of living or your own passing?
This is really intense, actually, that if you really dial in on this question and attempt to answer it, you realize that it's extremely complex. At least it is for me. So I want to dial the time and the calendar back to when I think I was about 20 or 21. And I had learned about the suicide death of a friend who I went to high school with. So I split high schools when I was younger. So this first high school I went to, I'd learned about her suicide death. And I was 20, I think, and she was 21. And I remember being first of all, just devastated, but then kind of really confused about how I tried to understand it, right? So I started questioning the present, the today at age 20, due to all the things that I realized that she would no longer experience, right? She is gone now. She'll never smell pizza. She'll never taste an ice cream sundae. Like all these little things that in my mind were a huge deal. But then at the same time, I was questioning my own mortality due to the young age that she did die. So she was 21. Here I am at 20. And I remember thinking that if she could die at this young age, what does that mean for me and my life expectancy or expectations? And, it was really confusing for me. And what I remember truly coming out of it for me at that time was making a strong commitment to always share with anybody how I felt about them. So, essentially, I made it a mission to compliment somebody, even if it was a stranger, because you never knew what tomorrow was going to bring, and the same thing with loved ones. I'm going to tell them how special they are, how important to me, that nobody was going to get through a day and not understand or not know how I felt about them. And, I want to point out a really important point, which is that here we are talking about questioning our mortality and, living every day to its last based on death. But wrapping in grief to the conversation isn't just about death. So grief comes in layers and categories. And in fact, in our 5th episode, I talked about grief being a big part of my year in 2023, and none of it was about death. So with my continued desire to transform my life and maintain a curious and growth mindset, I was grieving last year in 2023. I was grieving the Christine that I had been for 5 decades, that I was not anymore, while equally as much celebrating who I was always meant to be and who I am in the present. So it's like this balance, right? It's trying to determine which part of our mortality are we questioning, the here and today and how we're living, or what's happening tomorrow. I mean, I guess the good news is anytime we are questioning even a dual mindset, which is really, I think, what we all have all the time, it always leads to lessons learned, right? And it just creates this interesting requirement for balance. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah. And so I don't want to, so is that a good time to transition over to mine? Because I don't want to interrupt your flow.
No, please. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So as you're talking, we have, as I expected, a lot of parallels in the way that I thought about the answer to the question as well. So there's a lot that I do agree with you on. But the way that I'm going to jump into my answer is this way. So for me, I personally don't find, when I find out of a death or when someone dies, I'm not questioning my life in the form of dying. I personally do not fear death. I am accepting of that day may come today. It may come in 10 years from now. And that I am okay with. For me, what I start to question, this is where we have some similarities, is how I've lived my past. I start to remember and reflect and almost get sad for what was. Because there was a lot of fun in there, but yet there was a lot of struggle in there. So that in turn then takes me to question, how am I living today? Because when I do go, my biggest thing is knowing that I made an impact, that I left behind something positive. And so it's why grief is really, when I think of death, grief is always coming up for me. That it's not the official dying part, it's what triggers grief for me. And I think it's because I find myself going so deep in reflection, and again, remembering what was, the good and the bad, what decisions I made, or maybe I didn't make, that now I hold a form of regret. And I think that's another thing, we shy away from regret. No, sometimes we have regrets, and that's okay too, right? And so I start to then reflect on that, which is for me, again, grieving. Because then it's at that point of reflection of what are my regrets, of what was the good, what was the bad, that I then say, okay, now what can I do differently? Or what can I do differently? Hello, maybe I can learn how to speak properly in sentences. What can I do different today to make life matter even more as I go forward?
Yeah.
And so that's why I start to call bullshit, like I did last week in episode 10. I start to call bullshit on there's no dress rehearsals, live every day like it's your last, because at the end of the day, even if I want to try to go forward and make life better, I still have to ensure all of the basic needs of life are met. Shelter over my head, food to eat, water to drink, clothes to wear, bills to pay. And that's why when I hear those phrases, I'm like, it's just not realistic. It's a dream to be able to do that. It's not, to me, it's not realistic.
It's not.
And so sorry, I just, because my brain will forget. Thank you. But and the other thing, when I say it's not realistic, I feel like it puts a level of pressure on me that I just literally don't want to entertain. And so from there, then I go, and I promise I'll be done after this. It's when I then prompt myself and I say, okay, what can I do today? I know that I can honor what was the past. I can remind myself that I have very tight personal boundaries so that I am giving me, the best me, to those that are around me, and I'm in turn able to receive like true presence. And that alone is super hard, but that's where my brain went for that.
Yes. I mean, I love that you pretty much went in a circle. So you started here at the start and you went all the way to the finish with that. And, I think a lot of people are really going to resonate with what you said. And then there were two things I wanted to point out before we, start to close things up. And one was that truly it is 100% unrealistic to think that we can just live the heck out of every day like nothing else matters. It just isn't possible unless you have won the lottery. And even then, you still have to live with integrity. You have to live with the decisions that you make. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, that this really almost is posing a question for our listeners, and something I think we might want to bring up during the live show, which is, you talked about regret and grief. And when I heard you say that, I immediately went in my mind to, regret is grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's given, there's a different name in the dictionary for it, but regret is grief. And so those people that, maybe that think about yourself, is as you're thinking about that regret, that's grief that's gone unresolved. And I think this is going to actually open quite a bit of conversation now that I just had that realization. But that's what our live show is going to not necessarily be focused on, but this is the purpose of these small conversations that we have, what comes out of it, and then how we can bring it to our live show. So, wow, what a powerful 12 minutes and 43 seconds we've just had.
I'm glad you're the timer trapper, keeper, timekeeper, whatever it is that you call me.
You know what? I felt the energy that you were not paying attention, so I stepped in.
Well, with that, I'll go ahead and wrap us up. So thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to listen to the pre-recorded show. We are going live next Thursday, April 4th, on both LinkedIn and YouTube from 12 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And at that point, that's where we're going to discuss with you that question. When you are in the throes of grief, do you find yourself questioning your own mortality in the form of living or your own passing? So please share your comments now, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.